From today, as promised originally, Sayadaw is going to talk about the topic, namely walking the right path, which is the right destination, or the right path leading to the right destination. Although a lot of materials have been included in the talks given during the last 2 or 3 weeks, however, it becomes necessary for him to correlate between the topic and the practical aspects of the practice. Buddha has said to this expression, Sulisako via Buddha. The Buddha is a guide. When a traveler is traveling on his or her way, sometimes because of the complexities, complications of the roads or paths, sometimes you get lost. In such a situation, you need a good guide so that one will reach the right destination, especially being free from harm on the way. So, only when you are able to walk the right path will you be sure to reach the right destination free of harm. So, giving the guide is the responsibility of the guide. Showing the way is the responsibility of the guide, as much as it is the responsibility of the person who walks to walk to the destination, as according to the guide. So there are these respective responsibilities: the responsibility of the guide and the responsibility of the one who is guided. So Buddha himself has taught this the basic concept of karma and karma result, the basic right understanding of karma and karma result. Karma samadhi, that good begets good and bad begets bad. And karma is one's own property. But prior to his enlightenment, there had been religious teachers who taught different things, different ideologies, religious doctrines, as they thought fit. And those who listened to such doctrines would walk mostly wrong path, reaching the wrong destination. And there are many such cases, especially before the enlightenment of the Buddha. Since that time, there had been these religious leaders who taught such doctrines, so that many people who are addicted to such views suffer loss. When Buddha became enlightened, he taught this basic concept of karma samadhi, the right understanding of karma and karma result, that good begets good, bad begets bad, and whatever good or bad you do, one's action is one's own property. Only when he became enlightened, he was able to teach the beings this basic right understanding. This basic understanding is very important for everybody, because one is bound to do things, sometimes kusala, sometimes akusala. They are bound to bring about results. If you do good things, you're bound to get good results. If you do bad things, you're bound to suffer bad results. Just like taking food, whether you know whether the food is suitable or not, whether you know it or not, if it's not suitable, especially if you take poisonous substances, poisonous food, then you're bound to suffer. So if you have to choose whether this is suitable or not, so as you don't suffer. So if the food is not suitable, even if whether you know it or not, beforehand, one is bound to suffer as a result of this unwholesome food. So if one knows in advance that such a food is unsuitable, then one can abstain from taking it, so that one will not suffer. If one knows in advance that it is suitable, if one takes it, especially nutritious food, as much as you are able to take nutritious food, you are bound to get good results. So this is about material food. As for this spiritual aspect, so do with the behavior in human beings. If you commit wrongdoing, anything wrong, to affect yourself and others, things that you do, misbehavior, which will defile yourself and at the same time harm others, are things to be abstained, that you have to know in advance. And those which are good for you, for self, safeguard, things which will safeguard you, will also safeguard others, will not do harm to others, so that others will not be harmed, will not meet danger. So these are the things that you have to perform. As much as you perform, you are bound to be good, physically, verbally, and mentally. And as much as you perform these good things, it's bound to be beneficial. So there are two things: commission and omission. Things which have to be performed, things which are suitable have to be performed, and there are things which are not suitable which have to be abstained. So then you will not suffer as a result of unwholesome deeds. Instead, you will benefit out of good deeds. Such right understanding is known as Kamma Sakata Samadhi. The basic right understanding of Kamma and Kamma result. That Kamma, good or bad, is one's own property. Whoever holds this view is said to be holding right views. That is, there's such a view of Kamma is known as Kamma Vada, and the one who holds such view of Kamma is known as Kamma Vadi. So, since even before the time of the Buddha's enlightenment, the Brahmins have accepted this doctrine of Kamma. As much as on one side they accept and believe in Kamma Vada, Kamma doctrine, on another side they believe in the Brahma, Supreme Being, as creator. So in this way they have dual views of Kamma and Brahma as creator. When Buddha came in enlightenment, Buddha refuted this doctrine of creator as Brahma as creator. Instead, he preached the doctrine of Kamma, that Kamma is one's own property and Kamma is responsible for one's good or bad results. So, in this way, the Buddha separated this Kamma doctrine from Brahma doctrine. So then, up to this day, this Kamma doctrine has existed, has survived. Such a doctrine is known as Sutta Kamma Vada, pure Kamma doctrine, and the one who holds such views is known as Sutta Kamma Vadi. This is separated, by which one is separating the Kamma Vada from Brahma Vada. About these doctrines, religious doctrines, there are many religions in the world. Out of these various denominations, only Buddhism and Hinduism hold the view of Kamma, the view of the Kamma doctrine, but not other denominations. This has to be understood. Because of this concept, right understanding, that good begets good, bad begets bad, Kamma is one's own property, then if one knows that this is unwholesome, unskillful, then one can abstain so that no harm will come to you. And if you know that this is a good deed by body, speech and mind, you perform it so that as much as you perform, you're bound to get good results. In this way, such is Kamma Sakata Samadhi, right understanding of Kamma and Kamma result, which has three ways, divided into three ways, namely Kamma way or Kamma path, the path of Kamma actions, jhanic path, the path of jhana, absorptions, and jnana path, the path of wisdom. Now as regards the first path, the kamma path, the path of actions, if one performs in normal volitional actions with the pure physical, verbal, mental behaviors, then one is said to be following this kamma path. For example, you are helping others, giving service to others, helping others by way of acts of generosity, by way of material things, and service and things like that, with good volitional actions. And then abstain from any wrongdoing by body, speech and mind, and only practice good deeds, make a habit of doing good deeds, by giving service to others and being respectful to respectable people. All these things done with good volitional act, volition, intention, also they are good actions, such as kamma path, by which you will be reborn, or you will reach the destinies, human destiny, and the Deva realm, and this much and no more. Such is the path that you follow, namely the kamma path, the path of actions, giving service to others in terms of material service or just voluntary service, or giving generosity by way of material things. In this case, in such acts, there is no such thing as abstention from wrongdoing. In the case of sila, morality, one has to abstain from wrongdoing. There's abstention involved, that one will not commit this, commit that, and one will abstain from doing this, doing that. You have to take vows or precepts not to commit wrongful things. When you have occasion to commit wrongdoing, you will abstain from doing it because you're taking vows or precepts. And even if you don't come across, if you don't meet such situations, because you have jirana, volition, intention, you get good result because you have got good intentions. However, you still will be overcome, you still will possess the obsessive defilements which arise in your mind, wrongdoing, mental wrongdoing, such as wishing to kill, steal, commit sexual misconduct, tell lies and so on. You will still be obsessed with such impurities. You will not be free from such impurities because the mind is not still yet, the mind is not unified, and instead it is not still, it is scatters and distracted, restless. So, although you abstain from unwholesome deeds and do wholesome deeds, you get good results by abstention with morality, taking vows or precepts. But such results, consequences, wholesome consequences, they are wholesome consequences, but they are not so significant, and they are not, they don't last long, because one can be affected, overcome, and moved by raga, dosa, craving, and aversion. There cannot be peace of mind. There can be only mental heat, and the result is not so significant. Result will not be wholesome. So, if one walks from the path of kamma Sayadaw, this kammic path, to jhanic path, the path of jhana, absorption, then there will be no more obsessive. One will be able to overcome obsessive defilements. All these obsessive impurities and undermining elements will be tranquilized. Obsessive impurities such in the way of these hindrances to progress, namely kamachanda, niranas, hindrances of sense desires, hindrances of ill will, aversion, dhyavada, nirvana, hindrances of sloth and torpor, chinamida, hindrances of udicca, restlessness, and vicikiccha, skeptical doubt. All these hindrances will be overcome. These can obsess you. So with the practice of by walking the jhanic path, with the practice of jhana, you will be able to do away with these obsessive defilements. This is a higher level practice of discipline, so that you are free from these undermining elements. Such are the practice of lokiya, jhana, mundane absorptions. One will not be shaken with these mundane absorptions, have the power of tranquilizing these undermining elements such as craving and aversion. You will not be moved by these, you will not be overcome by these undermining elements. Instead, your mind will be tranquilized and be peaceful. As much as you do, you have this jhanic sedana, this jhanic volition, you'll be able to overcome these obsessive defilements. And as for the result, when you walk the jhanic path, you'll be reborn in a higher world, the Dhamma world, where you can live long life. In the human realm, in the world of human beings, one practices jhana, mundane absorptions in stages, first jhana, second jhana, and so on, and one can become absorbed in this jhana samapatti, up to the fourth jhana, and then from fourth jhana one can attain abhinya, supernormal powers, by which one can know in a supernormal way, so that, and also one can be reborn in the Brahma world. However, when this momentum is, when one has used up this momentum, after this jhanic power has gone, then one may fall down into the lower states, because one still has this what is termed as anusya kilesas, dormant or latent tendencies of defilements, which can only be removed with the practice of insight, with insight knowledge on a part-time basis and on a full-time basis with the realization of the path consciousness, Ariya Mega Jnana. So until and unless one is able to practice insight knowledge, cultivate insight knowledge and realize the path consciousness, one will not be able to overcome the latent tendencies of defilements. So that from latent tendencies one can become obsessed with all the defilements, which can be translated into violent actions by body and speech, and can make you fall down again. So that is because one still has these latent tendencies which have not been uprooted with the practice of insight knowledge. Just this insight, this knowledge or wisdom means not mundane knowledge or education, world education. It means the practice of the basic insight knowledge to know the discernment, to know the nature of mind-body through the stages of insight knowledge, until one realizes the path consciousness. Then, when one is practicing the karmic path, there are good things, but as one goes on from karmic path to jhanic and jnana path, and one becomes higher and higher, so that by following from the karmic path, Buddha has given this higher path from the path of Kamma Sakara Samadhi, to walk the jnana path, the path of wisdom or knowledge. That is to follow the path of Meghyanga. Only then one will be able to cultivate insight. So Buddha has given this method. It's only the Buddha and who has given this method. Earlier on, outside the period of Buddha Sasana, before the enlightenment of the Buddha, there had been practices of karmic path and jhanic path. But as for jnana, the path of jnana, the path of wisdom, it's only the Buddha who has given. It's only when Sasana came into existence, and with the enlightenment of the Buddha, one is able to practice this method. During that time, for the enlightenment of the Buddha, there have been practices, of course, these three trainings of Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Not that they are non-existent, they had existed prior to the Buddha, to some extent, in their own right. In Hinduism, they practice Sila, and this is ordinary. They practice Samadhi, and they also practice Panya, wisdom. But the Sila morality is not intended to realize the liberating land of liberation, to Nibbana, for liberation from our sufferings. Instead, it is only the practice of Sila towards existence, a possible jhanic existence, to Brahma existence. So their Sila, morality, is ordinary Sila, not Adi Sila, extraordinary Sila. Only when Buddha came into enlightenment, there we can practice this Adi Sila, extraordinary Sila, or sublime Sila, higher form of morality, which is intended to realize the assured peace and happiness of Nibbana. Of course, they also practice concentration, Samadhi. Not that Samadhi was absent in those days. They practice Samadhi, but they practice Samadhi in terms of jhana, Samadhi, in order to sometimes to attain abhinya, supernormal powers, and to be reborn in the Brahma existence. But not to the extent of cultivating. It's only not to the extent of cultivating jnana, wisdom, to tranquilize the mind, to concentrate the mind, to cultivate insight, to reach to realize the liberating wisdom, to realize Nibbana. Not so. So their Samadhi is ordinary Samadhi, not extraordinary Samadhi. And it's only when Buddha came into being, Buddha taught this Adhiceta, extraordinary mind, extraordinary Sila, Samadhi. This is known as Adhiceta, which in essence is Vriyasati Samadhi, energy, mindfulness and concentration. So in order to do that, one has got to exert one's energy in the practice of mindfulness, so that the mind becomes unified, one-pointed. Such is the practice of Adhiceta. This only happens in the period of the Buddha Sasana. And also they practice Panya in those days, but this Panya is only to cultivate jhana, to practice jhana or jhanic samadhi, the right understanding of jhana, not to practice insight, not in the sense of insight knowledge, to know the true nature of the mind, body, and the conditionality, the universal characteristics, not even the nature of mind, body, the discernment of mind and body. So their Panya, wisdom, or knowledge is ordinary one, not extraordinary one. In the case of Buddha, the Buddha preached the extraordinary Sila Samadhi more than which surpasses the Lokiya jhana, mundane jhana, and ordinary Panya. Instead it is Adhiceta and Adhipanya, extraordinary mindfulness, extraordinary concentration, and extraordinary wisdom. In order to realize the assured happiness, peace and happiness, one has got to walk this adi-sila, adi-ceta. And adi-ceta means concentration, and adi-pinya, wisdom, extraordinary wisdom. In short, it is the noble path of eight constituents, the path of Eightfold Path, Buddha, which the Buddha himself had walked, and had overcome these transgressive defilements with the practice of sila, morality, and with adi-ceta, concentration, overcome these obsessive defilements, pariyotana kilesas. And by walking the path of adi-pinya, extraordinary wisdom, he was able to overcome this anusaya kilesa, latent tendencies of impurities. So that by walking with the practice, walking the right path, he was able to reach the right destination. And after that, after he had practiced himself, he gave the guidance, he showed the way to all beings to walk likewise. So that's why the Buddha is given as this epithet. Buddha is given the name of the good guide. But so only when one practices, one undertakes the practical meditation, will one be able to have faith in this expression that the Buddha is a good guide. By saying just Buddham Saranam Gacchami, I go for refuge to the Buddha. That means taking the Buddha, Buddha who has given the right path in terms of the Sila Samadhi Pinya, and which is beneficial practice, and I go for refuge to such Buddha. But by just saying this expression is not enough. One will not be able to get the essence of it. Only when one really walks the path and undertakes the practice will one be able to be convinced of his epithet as being a good guide. But given this path as a guide, this Sila Samadhi Penya, the right path of morality, the right path of concentration, and the right path of wisdom. That known as Sumeka, the right path. Now as regards this the right path of morality, we have these three constituents, namely Samavacha, the right speech, speaking rightly, correctly, not falsely, speaking friendly, in a sweet manner, in a meaningful manner. Such is the right speech, Samavacha. And as for the right action, Samakamanta, the right action, abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, all these things are one way of right morality, Samakamanta, right action. And then following the path of right livelihood, abstaining from wrong livelihood, Samajiva. This is again following the right path of morality to reach the land of peace, Kemanta Bhumi. So that by walking the right path of morality, one can overcome the transgressive types, gross types of defilements, overcoming and extinguishing the fires of craving, aversion, delusion, and so on. So, by walking the right path of morality, these Vidigma Kilesas, the transgressive defilements, are said to be tranquilized, subdued, overcome, so that one's physical, verbal behaviors will become pure, graceful, and refined. And because the fires of Kilesas, the fires of craving, aversion, delusion are extinguished, your physical verbal behaviors become affable. Such is realizing or coming to Kemanda Bhumi, the land of peace. And with the practice of the right path of concentration, Samadhi, Ticita, guarding your mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising, focusing energetically, every rising object, sustaining your mindfulness, and so that your mind falls calm and collected on the object. Such is, to do that, you got to apply your right energy, Samma Vayama, such as Samma Vayama, making up. Then, with the right attention, you sustain your mindfulness. As you sustain your mindfulness, such is the practice of Samasati, making up the path of right mindfulness. And as one activate mindfulness, the mind will fall unified on the objects noted, and such is Samma Samadhi, making up the path of right concentration. So with the exertion of energy, one is not accepting the impurities, and it is said to be overcome by not accepting them, paving the way to wholesomeness and blocking the path to unwholesomeness. With the sati making up the path of right mindfulness, one's stream of consciousness is said to be protected. So that with the samadhi making up right path of right concentration, one is able to unify one's mind. Concentration, one is able to unify one's mind. Concentration, one is able to unify